The second summer banner for year 7 is here. If you still have orbs, the summer first banner features fun ults for Tharja, Fjorm, Ivy, and Duo Ymir and Eir. We'll go over stats, skills, and discuss playstyle and builds. The 4-star focusing of the banner is Winter Tharja 2. You can get her at 4-star, 5-star rarity. Now, Summer Tharja is a blue mage cavalier, this time appropriately dressed. You just need a colors version to complete the color set. For stats, Tharja comes with 40 HP, 45 attack, 44 speed, 19 defense, and 20 resistance, speed super boon, pure glass cannon stats. I believe Tharja times for highest attack and speed for blue mage cows, pretty impressive for a 4-star focus unit. For old skills, Tharja offers drawback, attacking speed gap 3, and speed runs far trace 3. The go-to contour skill for mage cams or flowers is a good offer. Attacking speed gap is also not bad for what it is, plus it's kind of a rare skill. For inheritable blue tone, Tharja has the Seashell Bow Plus. 12 might, at start of combat if unit has 125% HP, grant plus 5 attack and speed, inflict speed and res debuffs, and restore 10 HP after combat. The speed and res debuffs are equal to 25% of the unit's HP at start of combat, with a max of minus 10 speed and res. To hit this max, you need 40 HP at start of combat, and would you look at that, Tharja has exactly 40 base HP. For inheritable weapon, plus 5 attack and speed with minus 10 speed and res for basically just being healthy is pretty good. No other inheritable comes close to this amount of sub attack and speed, and this is arguably just a way stronger version of the Drifting Grace Plus from Crusader Lewin. Now, since you lose damage and speed when on low HP, and you have healing, this is kind of not a good weapon for Desperation. I bring Desperation up because it's a simple way for squishy units to stay safe when on low health. Having high speed is good, but you need to be able to double to use it, and it's kind of tough to do without some planet protection. Now for playstyles, Summer Tharja's plan is extremely simple. Initiate from long range with Seashell Bow's extra damage and speed, then contour to retreat. Stack more attack and speed. Tharja has great base stats for a 4-star focusing, and Seashell Bow Plus is probably the best offensive blue tome, outside of maybe a Blade Tome one-shot. The issue is that Tharja is very squishy, and Mage Cavaliers do not have the best skill options for this. For example, any follow-up deny effect laughs at all her extra speed. No way to get offense in a follow-up, and an Infantry Mage, for example, could run something like Wind or Water Sweep with no follow-up as a seal. That at least is one way to avoid counters, but Tharja will have to get hit back, and we discussed how this weapon is iffy with Desperation, which is the most basic way to stay safe. She also has no way to deal with damage reduction, and Heavy Blade is her only cooldown option. You could try to brute force engagements with say low speed and res or seal res 4, but Tharja may not get to a follow-up before getting one shot back. It's not foolproof, but mage cows at least have a couple options now for defense, remote A skills and percent DRB skills like Guard 4 or Brash Assault 4. Brash Assault actually gives a free follow-up which can cancel out a follow-up denial. That's useful for Tharja to double. If you run the two 30% DR skills, you get around 50% damage reduction. That is better than nothing, although low 20s defense res is not the best foundation. In terms of other weapons, still waiting on an Arcane Blue Tome that could change skill priority around as long as it's an offensive weapon. Magical Lantern Plus from Kaden's Sword is interesting for cooldown, but I think I would stick with Seashell Bow. Generally speaking, I do think Seashell Bow is not a bad weapon for how much stats it gives. I think it could work on a mage with more defensive power since the weapon grants so much attack and speed and debuffs. The 10 HP healing would also actually help units who don't die in one hit. Overall, Summer Tharja is a decent 4-star focus unit, good offensive stats, actually impressive inheritable tome. It's just that getting to a follow-up safely may be an issue for a mage cavalier. Next up is Summer Fjorm, finally ready to join her fellow Book 2 summer units. She is a sword infantry unit, so oh boy. For stats, she has 43 HP, 43 attack, 46 speed, 20 defense, and 20 res. Very satisfying looking stat spread, and very good for a swordmaster who wants to dodge tank physical and magical damage. She also, of course, has a speed super boom. It's actually getting ridiculous because we've literally gotten a new godly swordmaster 6 out of 7 months this year. Alir, Lucia, Felix, Fallen Bonnet, Ascended Fur, and now Summer Fjorm. I would already prepare for another one come CYL. For old skills, no surprises. Attack and speed finish 4 and times pulse 4, god tier fodder. Now, Fjorm's sword is the Icebound brand, 60 might, accelerates specials, and against ranged foes, Fjorm gains no C disrupt to always counter back. If the foe initiates or has more than 75% health, grant plus 5 stats, inflict attack and speed debuffs, inflict guard on the foe, and reduce damage by 5 when defensive specials trigger. The attack and speed deals are equal to 20% of Fjorm's speed at start of combat. For example, if she were to hit 50 flat speed, that equals minus 10 attack and speed debuffs. For the most part, kinda simple weapon, slaying, guard, and a whole lot of stats. Basically, plus 15 speed, defense, and res. If you can hit that previously mentioned 50 flat speed, Fjorm will then get 5 flat DR anytime defensive specials proc. Last, she has no C disrupt, but only versus ranged foes. This is just like Ascended Fjorm, but Icebound Brand doesn't have distant counter, and there is no DCA skill here. Well, Summer Fjorm brings a new unique special called Frostbite Mirror. 2 cooldown defensive special that reduces damage by 10% if the foe is a melee enemy, and 30% if the foe is ranged. After it triggers, next counterattack gets empowered, reflecting the total damage reduced, and this includes all DR sources. Last, if Frostbite Mirror is ready at start of combat, then Fjorm gets distant counter. Aha, Fjorm has gotten sick of the DC tax on weapons, so she's sneakily hid it in her special as a conditional effect. Well, since her sword has slaying, this is a 1 cooldown special. Time's Pulse will charge Frostbite Mirror, and TP4 means it recharges after every single fight. This means distant counter all the time, unless you run into something like Pulse Smoke. Assuming Fjorm has a tier 4 dodge skill, she can get 55% DR into melee and 65% DR into ranged matchups. She also has the 5 flat DR from her weapon. Fjorm is susceptible to DR piercing because dodge 4 is the main damage reduction perk. However, if she survives, then her next attack is empowered. Additionally, since this is a 1 cooldown special, Fjorm can recharge it on her counter, assuming no guard. I mentioned tier 4 dodge skills because Fjorm brings the next one with Spurn 4. Fun fact, this skill was spoiled because apparently in last month's update there was data left over that hinted that Spurn 3 wasn't the max tier. Probably just an accident with leftover code, but funny nonetheless. As a tier 4 dodge, Spurn 4 gets the minus 4 speed and defense debuffs and phantom speed effect. The DR percentage maxes out at 50% now, and Spurn still has its extra damage perk when you're under 75% HP and you're triggered your special, then you're gonna get 5 extra true damage. Spurn 4 got a new effect though. If defensive specials trigger at any HP amount, then next attack deals plus 5 true damage. Wrath and Spurn 3 did not work with defensive specials. Spurn 4 now does, which is perfect for Fjorm. In terms of combat, Spurn used to be the go-to since it has the chance to give extra damage. Close Call and Repel don't do anything in actual combat. It now has competition though from things like Velocity for no guard and Frenzy for desperation. Velocity is just too damn good in my opinion. Now for builds, I don't think Fjorm needs to swap out anything. She uses every passive well with her unique skills. Gameplay starts with Time's Pulse pre-charging Frostbite Mirror. Whenever it triggers, Fjorm hopefully has dodge DR stacked up with her specials DR. She gets a nice minus 5 flat DR as well. This reduced damage is reflected on the next counter, plus Fjorm triggers Finish 4's plus 5 true damage with 7 HP healing, and Spurn 4's plus 5 damage. For stats, Fjorm can inflict a good amount of attack and speed debuffs, which means more speed check wins and less damage taken. After combat, Time's Pulse readies Frostbite Mirror again. The benefit of Fjorm's Godlike Reflex type playstyle is that she has distant counter with no C disrupt into those ranged enemies. That's a huge perk to have. The trade-off is that her melee matchups are weaker and you do not get no C disrupt into those melee attacks. Another downside is that if her dodge DR is neutralized, then Fjorm misses a lot of tankiness. That is a general negative to dodge tanking though. As with many other faster units, Fjorm wants no follow-up some way. You can run Fjorm with her own God Niffle for extra DR stacking. You could also run her with Ymir and her Miracle Field. The reflected damage will count Miracle, but only the overkill damage gets added. It's a fun little combo. Now for other skills, damage reduction likes higher HP, so Squad Ace BS is a fun skill. Plus 5 HP, plus 2 attack and speed. If Fjorm can get no follow-up from elsewhere, any attack and speed booster is fine. Maybe some defense and res if you want. Since there isn't much to talk about since this base kit's kinda so solid already, let's do some fun dumb theory crafting. Drop Time's Pulse for a stat booster or like Menace, or Speed Smoke 4 for extra dodge. With 1 cooldown, you can use Velocity to guarantee recharging the special in 1 hit. If Fjorm outspeeds with no follow-up, this is redundant when using Time's Pulse 4. However, if you want another C skill, it's an option. Just spitballing ideas, I wouldn't really recommend running Velocity currently without the tier 4 upgrades. It's getting a little ridiculous in the speed creep department. In conclusion, Summer Fjorm can be a menace, very much so if you do not pierce her DR. Legendary Nana says hi, but Fjorm is supposed to mess with ranged attackers, especially those trying to hide behind Fire Sweep. DC with no C-Disrupt is fantastic, and again, Fjorm technically is supposed to be better versus range. Seems like a fun unit, and if you do not one-shot her, then the empowered counter is gonna hurt. Next, Ivy makes her Fey debut, and I feel like we got baited so hard. Literally, one new engaged character in what's gonna be 6 months is frankly pretty damn sad. Now, Summer Ivy is a green mage flyer with 38 HP, 46 attack, 25 speed, 20 defense, and 44 res. When an attack super boon, I believe Ivy takes over highest base attack in the game for a mage, and 44 res is highest res for a flyer. Very impressive stuff. That will come at the cost of speed and defense though. Ivy will just explode if an arrow hits her. For old skills, Ivy has Glimmer and Stillwater 4 for flat stats to utilize Sabotage, Attack, and Res 3. Ivy brings debuffs for the team and should double up those debuffs when fighting. For her weapon, Ivy has the Divine Draw Tome, 14 might, accelerate specials, and if Ivy is within 3 spaces of her support partner, then Ivy can move to a space within 2 spaces of that partner. For combat, if Ivy has more than 25% health, gain +5 to all stats. If Ivy is initiating, if she's within 2 spaces of her support, or a penalty is active on the foe, then Ivy gets bonuses depending on how many of those conditions you just met. If you meet 2 of them, Ivy gets brave attacks. If you meet all 3, she gets true damage on hit equal to 15% of the greater of Ivy's attack or the foe's attack. Ivy channels some of that Summer Brave action, but she does need to work for it. Initiating is easy to do, and Sabotage, Attack, and Res is a penalty, so Ivy can at least get brave attacks without a support partner. This makes her still annoying as an AI. However, if you want the extra damage, which is doubled up from brave hits, then Ivy needs a support on the team. Fighting within 2 spaces of that support is not hard when Ivy has a 3-space super range. Kinda annoying to deal with 3 movement mage cams, but Ivy can technically move 5 spaces. She can easily follow up on her support's initiations, and Ivy will rock brave hits, accelerate specials, and a sky high base attack. Do note, Ivy can brave attack on the enemy phase. You need to be near your support though, and the foe must have a penalty. Obviously, tanking physical damage is a no-go, but if it's a fellow mage, then Ivy has some power to return fire. For her new inheritable C skill, Ivy brings Soaring Guidance. Unless I missed something, this is the exact same skill as Guidance 4. However, instead of infantry and armor allies, it works for infantry and flyers. As a refresher, infantry and flyers within 2 spaces can move to a space within 2 spaces of the user. Grant +3 attack and speed to those allies, and if those allies outspeed their opponent, they get offense and no follow-up. Guidance 4 is an amazing mobility tool, but not a lot of armies can make the most from a player phase initiation. It can let them keep up with the team to use Savior though. With Soaring Guidance, flyers get in on the 2-space warping. If Ivy's support is an infantry or flyer, she can 2-space warp around them, then the support can 2-space warp around Ivy. If it's a fast unit, then they get offense and a follow-up as well. For flyers, this is a valuable perk, especially if you're running Kanto instead of flow skills. Guidance 4 is quite popular, so don't see why Soaring Guidance isn't just as good for even more aggressive teams. Summer Ivy has a competent base kit if you want to keep it. Stillwater 4 is for the flat resistance, so Sabotage can proc. Sabotage's debuffs count as a penalty, which is one of Ivy's conditions. She needs 2 out of 3 to get brave attacks, and initiating counts as 1, so even defense teams, Ivy can be a threat. With Slaying, she will proc Glimmer on her hit number 2. Now, Ivy is at best with her support partner though. She can warp around them for 3 spaces out, and she has Soaring Guidance to then ferry the team around. If you want, enemy phase brave attacks are possible, but a support partner is a must for that. Obviously, Ivy's speed isn't exactly the best, so I wouldn't expect her to do well should her brave hits fail. Obviously, stack as much attack as possible, with res being a nice secondary stat. There is no deer piercing for this class. For other skills, Ivy could just go for the far trace route, but be aware she needs penalties on the foe, so no sabotage means you need outside help. You can get more damage from Attack and Res Catch 4, Attack and Res Rain or Hold, and believe it or not, Attack and Res Rain 3 is a Sacred Seal. It's not the most damage, but Rain debuffs affect teammates, and double Rains is quite a lot of stats, should those land. If Ivy wants warping to non-support partners, she can run Oath 4 skills, but Flyer Formation or Aerobatics in the Sacred Seal slot work as well. It's sort of a do-at-your-own risk, but Brash Assault 4 can enable quad attacks. With Remote A skills and Brash, you get double 30% DR skills. Hilarious, but your mileage may vary. If you want, you could try to boost Ivy's defense, but so Stillwater has that defense penalty, and if it may not matter if Ivy's getting doubled anyway. Overall, Summer Ivy has a couple requirements, but she's going to hit quite hard and can just zoom in from across the map. Bring a support partner for extra mobility and damage. Last up for today is Duo Summer Ymir Eir. Like Askar and Embla, Ymir is trading in transforming for magic. She's a colorless infantry mage with 38 HP, 45 attack, 18 speed, 35 defense, and 41 res. Attack super boon is fine, and unlike Ivy, Ymir trades all her speed for a good amount of defense. If you like tanky mages, add another one to the collection. For old skills, Ymir has Moonbow and Mystic Boost 4. She'll shut down those fancy new healers and more attack debuffs with 10 HP healing. Ymir also retains her Ever-Living Domain C skill, plus for defense and res, and a miracle effect if you can take a fatal blow above 75% health. Even if a mirror or an ally gets absolutely destroyed, they at least get that chance to fight back. Now, Ymir and Eir have the Sparkling Sun tone, 14 might accelerate specials. If Ymir is within 3 spaces of an ally, she inflicts attack and res debuffs, gains a follow-up attack, reduces AoE special damage by 75%, heals 10 HP after combat, and if Ymir gets doubled, she reduces the first hit by 75%. For the debuffs, X is equal to 30% of Ymir's HP at start of combat, plus 6. To hit the max, minus 18 attack and res, Ymir also needs 40 HP, just like Tharja's tone. AoE protection is nice, and Ymir is ready to get bopped twice with that 75% TR for the first hit. Should she survive, you get 10 HP healing, and with Mystic Boost 4, that's a rather wild 20 HP gained back. For her own damage, Ymir accelerates specials and has a follow-up. Minus 18 res is gonna hurt too. For Ymir and Eir's dual skill, they will neutralize penalties and heal 20 HP for themselves and allies within 2 spaces. This dual skill will recharge every odd turn. Penalty cleanse and a heal is quite nice. We've had similar dual skills, but this one isn't as potent. It balances out though, because Ymir can heal and cleanse the team every other turn. For example, lots of healing for Abyssal PvE maps, and Seer Snare does want some kind of healer. Duo Ymir can just act as your healer for the whole run. Same for chain challenges and so on. Duo Ymir will introduce a new inheritable A skill. Fire Flood Boost 3 is our first tier 4 boost skill. These A skills were basically not great since forever because in PvE content, they did HP comparisons, and you're not winning HP checks when Abyssal enemies have 70 plus HP. They have been changed fundamentally and will also support 2 stats now. For Fire Flood Boost 3, grant plus 5 HP. At start of combat, if unit has more than 50% health, gain plus 7 attack and res. If you're within 2 spaces of an ally who also has more than 50% HP, then you get guard in combat. Actually, very simple skill. There are no more HP comparisons with the enemy, it just requires above half health. Considering most units have that above 25% HP condition on weapons, these new boost skills can be just fine. If you're enemy phasing with the team, the guard condition is also pretty easy to meet. Because of this, you could say these skills are better than tier 3 dual stances. They also work on the player phase, and I think that's good for certain builds. If you want to try these new tier 3 dual boost skills, then they simply require their single stat versions. Either one is fine, and boost skills can be used by any unit. For playstyle, Duo Ymir and Eir are a beefy colorless mage. Sparkling Sun basically just inflicts minus 18 attack and res. With Fire Flood Boost, Ymir will surpass her 40 HP threshold. Mystic Boost 4 has more attack debuffs too. Ever-Living Domain has its defense and res buffs and its miracle field, and then you get 75% DR against first attacks and AoE specials. Ymir is gonna get doubled, so having guard via boost is nice, and maybe you could run something like Deflect Magic or Missile to try and deal with sneaky brave users. Should she survive combat, you get a fat 20 HP heal. If you use the dual skill, that's another 20 HP, and you can use it every odd turn. Ymir has a follow-up with Slang, so she can pop Moonbow or Glimmer if left unchecked. Now, as one of our Fey Dragon Gods, Ymir's Ever-Living Domain is her main feature. It's an interesting domain that can protect from pure one-shot KOs. Any fatal hit above 76% HP will let Miracle kick in. This is annoying, and it can be great for high damage units. For example, Ivy, if she gets one shot by an arrow, she lives with Miracle, and then she can fire back with brave attacks. Keep in mind, Ymir gets Miracle too, although getting doubled might not save her. Let's say though, she does survive combat on 1 health. She heals 20 HP after combat, then next turn you can use the dual skill to heal another 20 HP. That should definitely heal her back above 75% health. Now if you kind of just want Ymir to stand there and not fight as much, you could run support skills like Infantry Hexblade as a seal. For example, with Ross and his new Refine, he can retaliate in the same way Ivy can, since Everliving Domain can keep him alive. Hard-hitting Brave attacks with adaptive damage is fun. With her decent base res, you could also go with Sabotage Attack and Res. For fun combat perks, if you don't think Mystic Boost is doing much, you could sub in Guard 4 or Nelsie Disrupt 4. With low cooldown specials, Ymir could also get Finish 4 active, and that's going to give her healing in combat. Like Duo Alphonse, you could also go for a fun close counter set just to fight everyone, maybe even Special Spiral 4 to get a deer piercing nuke. Overall, Duo Ymir and Eir are another tanky colorless mage. Everliving Domain can create annoying situations for the enemy, and should your team survive, Ymir has healing via her dual skill. I wouldn't say she's the most oppressive unit in battle, but that Miracle Field is annoying, and it can let squishy offensive units retaliate with all their damage skills. That's all I got for this banner breakdown. Next video, we are going to go over the Tempest Trials, which again has some spicy things like that Rain Sacred Seal. The reward unit is going to be Summer Ymir, and we'll talk about him next as well. Let me know what you think about this second summer banner. As a reminder, the first summer banner should still be lasting about the same amount of time as this one, so you still got a lot of time if you want those units. If you are summoning, I wish you good luck, and thank you for watching. See you very soon.